morning. It is time to get up with the Bucks on the brink. What would one more win mean for the legacy of the Greek Freak? We'll get you there. Meanwhile, in the same state, a vastly different story. We will tell you why this is the week that Rodgers gets resolved. And once and for all, what exactly do the Cowboys have to do to make this season a success? Those are the questions. We've got all the answers as we get up with you, starting right now on a Monday from the Seaport. I am Greeny and delighted you've chosen to get up with us. Hope you had a wonderful weekend, and we are thrilled to have this crew put together to talk sports with us today. RJ is ready to go from Milwaukee. Neek, Dan Graziano, Rob Ninkovich, Cassidy Hubbard will be here as well. We are jam-packed, and we begin in the state of Wisconsin. That's where all the action is. Start with the football. 8 days and counting until the Packers open their training camp, and all eyes across the NFL, of course, remain on Aaron Rodgers. Friday, during a session in which he was going over Packers team finances, team president Mark Murphy was asked about the Rodgers situation, and he said, and I quote, "I appreciate the question. This is really limited to questions regarding financial statements. I would just say there's nothing new to update on the issue that you raised." The issue that you raised, he said, which always strikes me as funny that he sort of talked around saying Aaron Rodgers' name. But let's leave that aside. Dan Graziano, you told us yesterday in a conversation that we had off the air, this is a critical week for this situation. Why?
Well, because if there's still anything for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers to talk about, this is the week to talk about it. You mentioned they're reporting to training camp next week. Obviously, if you're the Packers, you want to know who your quarterback is going to be. Their preference is that it would be Aaron Rodgers. So what has to happen in order to get him to come in? This is not about money, as I understand it. The Packers have made several efforts this offseason to try and offer him a new contract. He hasn't been interested in that. My understanding, and again, look, everything on this situation is informed speculation. So it's informed speculation from the people I'm talking to, and then, I present it to you guys. My understanding is an adjustment has to be made to the contract that allows Aaron Rodgers some degree of control over what the ending of his career is going to be. Now, does that mean they adjust his contract so that he can get out of it in 1 year, a la Tom Brady, his final year in New England? If that can be arranged and it can be done to everyone's satisfaction, that's the kind of thing that might potentially be able to get to a resolution where Aaron Rodgers comes back and actually does play for the Packers this year. Of course, this assumes he hasn't already decided to sit out the whole thing.
Right, and so, but let's live in that world for a moment, because it is an interesting one, and we've heard that brought up a number of times. Dominique, when that comes up, you told me all of a sudden this becomes infinitely more interesting to you. Why is that?
It does, because it's something we've never seen before. It's a guy going on his farewell tour, knowing that he's had a Hall of Fame worthy career somewhere, but he's not going on a farewell tour to go off home and be retired. He's going to go somewhere else and win a championship elsewhere. Like, I can't imagine how the fans are going to experience that, but I imagine that Aaron Rodgers, if he's able to kind of fix his contract so he's a free agent and has control after this year, he would want nothing more to win a Super Bowl with this team and then leave. And then leave them there to live with the decision that they made to move on from him and see what they can do with Jordan Love afterwards while he's somewhere else, maybe somewhere like Denver, winning another championship. That would be the ideal scenario for Aaron Rodgers, and I can't say that I wouldn't love watching it myself.
There are so many pieces of this that are interesting, and we can talk about what might be a logical place for him to go to a year from now. But, Nico, I believe you were on with us last week, and Marcus Spears in particular was all not upset, but was quite concerned about the other players on that team. I mean, if you've got your quarterback, no matter how good he is, no matter how much you may like him, if he has just negotiated a situation where he's basically saying, I'm one and done, I'm out of here no matter what else happens, can they win that way? If they make the deal that Dan Graziano was talking about, can they win a championship this year that way?
Of course they can. And look, there's so many guys playing on one-year contracts anyway. The NFL is full of guys just saying, guess what, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to play my contract out. I have 1 year left. And the key word here is control. Controlling your own destiny in a league, honestly, where you're drafted and usually released beyond your control. People are taking you where they want you to be, and you don't have control of your own destiny. So I have no issues with a player being in an uncomfortable position making sure that he can control where he goes, especially when a team is going to go draft somebody or trade you or trade for somebody in your position and you have no control at all. So for me, even if I was in that locker room, I would understand, look, 2021, just get him through the door and it could be our year. Because when you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, you have a chance.
When do they need him in the door, Dominique? Training camp starts in 8 days. Preseason a few weeks after that. The regular season is still almost 2 months away. When do they need him in that door in order to still have that same chance?
Well, they need him in that door before game one, but I think it's best to have him in there at the start of training camp to get as much time as possible. But to the point you were making about him not, or the team understanding that he may not be there at the end of the year, like that's urgency. Like I think that helps the team more than it hurts. It's one thing that you can't create on the team. You can't fabricate, no matter how much you talk about it, you cannot fabricate urgency. And the determination and the effort that comes with that type of urgency, knowing that you only got one more season to win a championship, that might make this team even better.
If they make him or put him in a position where he can become a free agent after this season, we have an idea for a place he might wind up, that the Packers might wind up regretting that decision in a very significant way. We will get to that and a whole lot more, much more football conversation as we go. But staying in the state of Wisconsin, that is where Game 6 of the NBA Finals will be played tomorrow night, with Giannis and the Bucks looking to close out the Suns after